Welcome back for another outdoor creation experience. In today's video, I'm going to teach you how to take an animal track cast from the mud, and we're going to explore one of the biggest creatures to ever walk through the Fairhavens outdoor classroom. All right, let's get to it. Wow, take a look at how big this track is. That's huge. That's my hand in comparison. It goes all the way from here to here. We take a quick measurement. That is just over an 11-inch track. And that's counting these two parts, which are the heel, and these are the two toes of the animal. So 2 toes, that's a really important clue as to the identity of this animal. So I walked up a bit further and it looks like there's actually some baby tracks of this animal. So up here we have an adult set of tracks right next to the baby's tracks. So if I measure the babies first, we got 4 inches for their toe, and then we got a full 6 inches for the adult. So there's a nice comparison side by side for you. And it's either 1 or 2 babies. I can't really tell. It's not super clear here in the tracks, but exciting either way. So now I'm gonna measure the stride of the animal, the distance between its feet. So we got about a 39-inch stride there. And then coming up here, we got about a 53-inch stride. So if this is a 4-legged animal, we can measure the front set and all the way to the back set of footprints, and it's about 73 inches. So that's a pretty long animal here. If it was standing and just trotting or walking casually. On the smaller set of footprints, we're counting up 4 smaller tracks here, definitely tinier, only about 45 inches. So even with the animal standing, that's still a pretty long stance for a baby animal. So we're looking at something pretty big here. So based on these size measurements, I don't know if you've already guessed, but we are looking at a mama moose and a baby moose. Very, very exciting wildlife to see here, and definitely one of the biggest creatures to walk along the Blue Jay Trail here of the outdoor classroom. So let's get some plaster now into these tracks. All right, so the materials for our nature craft today is plaster powder, which you can get from a hardware store, a bucket that you can cut into a circle, or even some cardboard tubes. And that's not necessary, it just keeps the shape of the track contained so it doesn't spill and just makes a thicker track for you. I also just grab a yogurt container for mixing, along with a spoon and some napkins to just avoid any spill. And then you can spoon in the powder. And I usually just scoop some water, clean water, out of a puddle nearby. It's okay if it's a bit yellow, you're not drinking it. And if you're nearby a really busy area or it's gonna rain at night, you can take a couple of buckets and actually just use them as covers or lids just to protect your tracks overnight from rain or from any curious hikers. And essentially this can be narrowed down to, you don't need these, you just need plaster powder in a Ziploc bag with a spoon and a container and your hiking water bottle, just to keep it super simple if you're just going off trail or a bit further into the bush. It's a bit of a guess how much plaster powder you put in. It's kind of like making pancake batter. You just kind of got to mix it until it looks like a good ratio, good consistency. Not too liquidy, but not too thick either. So I just need to get rid of a few chunks and then we're all set. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that if there's leaves in the tracks, that'll mess with it. So you want to clean out the track a bit. Also, if there's some fallen chunks of mud, you want to get rid of those too before you pour into it. So see how the toes aren't fully connected? It means you have to blob a bit of extra into the track. We could use this ring, but it depends on if you want to get that dew claw or the heel or not. So for this one, we might just pour just like in a blob and see what we get from that. So if you're blobbing it in, you want to make sure that you connect the blob. Otherwise, the track will be a bit fragile and could just snap or break. And once again, you want it liquidy enough that it goes right into those tips of the toes. And then if we want the dew claws, we do need to really blob it on the back here. And we'll see if that's enough. All right, so that's how you do the track without the fancy kind of circle stencil. All right, so it'll be a bit blobby, it'll be a bit thin on the edges and could break a little bit more, but that's how you do that type of track. All right, so I'm gonna try my bowl method here. All right, so I'm gonna plant my circle kind of bucket, the bucket that I've cut, and that'll kind of keep it as a circular shape, and then I can pour in the rest. I've restocked my plaster. I'm gonna keep pouring into this one. Now that I have the circle mold on the outside, I can really pour it in, and this will make a really strong cast, and it'll be like that circular shape. I'm noticing it's kind of piling up on this side. It's a bit of an angle, I guess, but we'll see how it turns out. Got to restock the plaster again. It's maybe a tiny bit watery still, but if I get those last little chunks out, then it should be good. All right, so I'm gonna try to get this adult track. It might be a little bit thick, so I'm just gonna remove a bit of this middle, just so I don't have to pile the plaster as deep. Make sure I remove any last other little bits. And now I should be able to connect the plaster in the middle, at least to keep it a bit more stable. All right, let's see how this goes. There's one hoof, there's the other hoof. You can really probably see that better on the camera now that I put some white into it. Oh, we got some plaster escaping. Here we go. We're gonna build up that side, just like you do with your mashed potatoes and gravy. Yep, gotta keep that in. There we go. So remember, you can kind of mold the mud a little bit. You don't want to change the track shape too much, but yeah, there we go. I saved it. I saved it. Okay, there we go. So we got both sides filled. They're not really well connected yet, so I'm just gonna finish off all the plaster I got here, just to try to connect the two. Remember, if they're not connected, then you're just gonna have two separate hooves, which I mean is fine. There's another good side-by-side view of the baby's track. There's the baby track, and then there's the adult track just next to it. All right, I think I have just enough plaster for one more. I loaded this one full because I totally did not realize how much plaster these massive tracks take. So this is the biggest of the adult tracks that I was able to find. And the toes look like they'll be fairly well connected together once I pour that in. All right, so let's see if I can connect them there. Get the next toe. That one sunk really deep into the mud. The other thing to consider is that these tracks here are pretty wet, so they might take longer to dry. The ones further up I did on higher ground, so the first tracks might dry a bit quicker, is all I'm saying. Okay, so once again, you can let this dribble down and we can get some dew claws happening, but what I'm actually gonna do is build up this moat here. Maybe take a blob, because I do not want that dripping any further. We're just gonna go with the front two parts of the hoof. Yeah, I'm not aiming to get the dew claws in this one. All right, we'll see how this dries and come back in the morning. I'm just gonna put this bucket over top just to protect it from any rain or curious hikers. All right, and I didn't know how many I was gonna do. It's always best to make some extras because sometimes they break or they don't dry properly. I grabbed some extra fire buckets and I'm just gonna put them on top. I normally use them for kindling and things for the guest groups and the outdoor education groups. I don't even think I can cover that one in the middle, so we'll just leave that one exposed and hope it's fine. All right, now let's pack up. All right, so I'm back out here along the Blue Jay Trail. It's been about 48 hours, and let's hope our track casts worked, and I'm ready to get my fingers muddy to find out. All right, and here goes for the grand reveal. Yep, there we go. They're solid. Okay, let's see if it comes out. All right, there we go. Got this one in one. This toe broke off on this one here. The toe snapped a little bit. I'll have to cut that out and just see how it turns out, or maybe glue that toe back on. All right, now for the next two. Gotta dig these ones out a little bit more carefully. Yeah, I maybe should have come back once the mud was a little bit wetter. I think I let it sit too long, maybe. Come back with a shovel. These tracks are so deep. I wanna get underneath it though. Yep, fingers are gonna get muddy. Gotta excavate a little bit more carefully. Yep, they're splitting apart. I'm gonna get two toes. Okay, we're gonna commit to it. Okay, so there's toe number one. Yep, unfortunately, they split in half. Okay, there we go. Oh, there's some roots and things here too. No wonder I was having trouble. There's full out roots. Okay, there we go, and there's toe two. Okay, well, They did split apart. But hey, wow, look, there's actually roots. I did not realize there were so many roots going through it, so that's annoying. There we go. I got the 2 hooves at least on this one. And this one also is splitting. This one's crumbling. Nope, that one's too skinny. So like I mentioned, you need to kind of pour it really deep. These are too thin. This track didn't work at all. That's why I mentioned to make a bunch of them. Yep, if you make multiple tracks, it'll save you later the heartache of only doing one cast and it not working. So, all right, this one was a dud. So yeah, just a good reminder to make multiples so that you can keep the best ones. All right, so just gonna give these tracks a little rinse. Gotta wipe off all that mud. Here we go. There's the 2 adult tracks. Gotta wash this baby one next. Unfortunately, that toe fell off, but I think I can just glue it back on. Should be fine. That's why I really like this kind of a bucket lid or a bucket side mold, just to hold it in place. It just really holds all the plaster there. And then even if you leave a little bit of dirt and mud to dry, it just really emphasizes the tracks there. You could even paint this after, technically. Paint some brown, just kind of where the mud would have been. So there's the baby tracks. They turned out pretty well. Oh, and I totally forgot I had another track over here. Here we go. Another good reason to mark them with some bins. Protects it from a bit of rain overnight and also helps you remember where they are. So this one looks like it went pretty deep. So we're gonna do some excavating. Once again, last time I think I just went for it and started pulling it up too much. The mud here also has a lot of wood chips in it, so it's tougher than I normally would be digging for, and just like the normal side of a trail or the middle of a forest with some mud. I'm gonna use some of these wood chips to help excavate. There we go, my tools of the trade. Some nice wood chips from the trail. There we go, you can see the back heel is excavated now. Let's just do that front toe, get rid of this extra mud here. Bit by bit, it shall be revealed. Let's see if it worked. I'm gonna get rid of this pile of mud on this side. Okay, I got the heel cleared out. Just gotta get to these toes, and once again, the toes are the riskiest, just because they usually get skinny and they usually taper. And as soon as you get any skinny plaster, that's what breaks the easiest. All right, let's see if it worked. Let's find out if this one survived. Gotta love just, you know, playing in the mud, getting hands dirty. It's good for you. Get some natural soil vitamins and nutrients. Don't recommend eating it. We'll leave that to the little kids, but hey, it's all natural stuff here. Just a nice bit of mud. Okay. All right, now for the grand reveal. I think I've got it mostly excavated all the way around. Let's see if this one worked. I carefully work my fingers underneath it, all the way to the base. Oh, this might be a good one. Here we go. Yep, I can get my finger all the way under. Yeah, this is a nice thick one. There we go. That's a hefty one. Only problem may be this like weird bit of wood chip plant. It might have messed with the whole toe on this side, sadly. So we'll see if, I'm not sure. It's like a weird plant leafy thing. Oh, it's actually birch bark. Okay, that birch bark may have ruined the toe on this side, but we'll see. All right, here's that last really hefty track. We'll clean that off. Maybe the third one will be the best one. We shall see. So far, 3 out of 4 is pretty good. It's just that one that I didn't pour deep enough. I made it too thin. Yeah, this one's turning out pretty good, other than a little bit of the toe that's missing. There you go. The pattern is being revealed. Once again, just splashing in some puddles. It's fun, right? Playing in mud, getting fingers dirty, splashing in some puddles. There we go. Nothing like a fun day of animal tracking, especially with these really unique wildlife tracks we found. And this will make a good addition to our creation cabinet. All right, so here's our finished nature craft. We got this one destroyed. I made it way too thin. This is the adult track that's split in half, but I got 2 nice prints from it still. Our baby track turned out great other than the toe snapping off. And then our third and final track actually turned out to be the best. It stayed together, I made it really, really thick, and the actual 2 hooves are still connected. So there we go, 2 nice adult tracks, a baby track, and a bunch of crumbly bits. All right, so for our grand finale measurements, we have about 4.5 inches for the baby's toe, and about 7 inches for the adult's toe. And obviously the heel would have landed even farther back. So that's a pretty impressive size. So just for comparison, I had to run back and get this track. I took this last year. It is a white-tailed deer track. And you can see the size difference. I mean, it's only about 3 inches for their 2 toes. These are the only 2 species with 2 toes that will be living here in the Fairhavens outdoor classroom. Our white-tailed deer, which is the most common, and our very rare, never seen before in real life, moose that seem to be passing through every once in a while. And just for fun, I grabbed my 2 black bear tracks, and even those are a little bit smaller than our moose. So even the black bear can't beat the moose for the footprint size. I mean, it could, yeah, be a bit bigger than the baby moose, but definitely can't take on the length of the toes of that adult moose. There you go, some bear tracks too for you. So be sure to check out my winter tracking video if you want to learn more about how to identify animal tracks by the number of toes, by the way that they walk, and learn about the 6 S's of animal tracking. These bears, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 toes. Obviously, our ungulates, our hooved animals here in the outdoor classroom, only have 2 toes. So that's the easiest way to tell them apart. Thanks for joining me on today's virtual outdoor creation experience. I had a lot of fun playing in the mud and splashing around in the puddles to get this epic wildlife artifact, and very excited to have documented the biggest creature to ever walk across the Fairhavens outdoor classroom. If you're interested in learning more about how to identify animal tracks, be sure to watch our winter video, linked down in the description below and popping up somewhere here in one of the corners. And be sure to subscribe to follow along on future outdoor education adventures. Until next time, stay curious about God's creation.